I am sitting so low right now to accommodate Miss Kristen over here. Kristen, not Steph. Kristen. Her name is Kristen. So many people in the comments are like, I love Steph. I'm like, that's not Steph in the video. Anyway.
I'm going to stop saying my last name.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to say, what's up? It's Kristen.
Yeah. We're looking at a video from AVTV. It's called Why Indian Men Get Zero Matches on Dating Apps. Explained with data. So, just so you know, Kristen, because, you know, you have what I call female privilege.
Female privilege.
Men in general have a harder time on dating apps. These are facts. And apparently, I guess, Indian men have an even harder time. And so I am very curious to see what exactly, you know, AVTV has to say on it. If you have a vote extension on your Chrome browser, you can see what the votes are. And right now, it's sitting at like 98.3% upvotes off of more than 18,000 votes. So I'm imagining a lot of dudes watch this, Indian men specifically, and so I'm like, okay, let's see what the conversation is. Let's jump into it. So here we go.
Okay, imagine a world where 97% of living species don't form any lasting partnerships. Now imagine being a part of the 3% that does. That's us humans. You know, we're one of the few mammals that form long-term cooperative partnerships. But why? What is it that makes us so different? So it's something called pair bonding. You know, our brains, they basically figured out that forming strong attachments, working as a team, sharing resources, and creating family units boosts our chances of survival. So our brains started releasing happy hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin to facilitate these bonds, evolving our social intelligence and cooperative skills.
See, it's all a trick. It's nobody actually wants this. It's our brains is tricking us.
Well, it's the pheromones too, right? I heard like a lot of times the people that you're attracted to, it also comes off the smell.
That's a trigger for me because
Really?
like some girl rejected me over that. I'm like, fuck you and your pheromone bullshit.
It's true. If you're attracted to the way a man smells or a woman smells, you're into them. If you don't like it, you're kind of like, ugh.
Okay.
I mean, in a way, we've literally hardwired the quest for a soulmate into our DNA to the point where people who don't find a partner or don't find love have shorter lifespans on average, says this paper. So, learning this whole dating business, dating algorithm, could actually be a matter of life and death.
What?
Whoa.
I know I'm extrapolating a bit here, but nevertheless, I feel like it's important to understand the ways of our current world and why and how they're evolving. You see, the social media today is selling you all sorts of nonsense, from situationships, breadcrumbing, textationships,
bullshit shit.
trapping. I mean, how can you all be so stupid to fall trapped to these dumb games? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who creates all of this? Who benefits from all of this?
The government.
Is it really you or the businesses making money off you? Because, by the way,
I was gonna say women.
making shit tons. You know, Indians by end of 2024 will be spending around $400 million on dating apps. Great business opportunity, capitalizing on people's loneliness and suffering for sure. But if you're a Navy subscriber, it is my duty to share the tough truths about life, survival, relationships, why they're so important, how do you find one, when and how should you start thinking about all this, because at some point you will have to.
Real quick, so the reason I was making a joke earlier, but I've only encountered women from India who are like, I'm not saying a lot, I'm saying a few, by the way, just to be clear, who are more prone to the behaviors I associate with guys over here in terms of, I'm not supremely interested, I'll just, have a situationship with that person. Whereas guys are like, I just want someone to cuddle with.
No,
it's like the gender norms are swapped over there.
Yeah,
that's all.
Indian men, I've noticed, they tend to be a lot more like loyal and on top of it and stick around. They want the relationship.
Yeah.
Or American men in other cultures as well. Like they're a little bit, they like the situationship stuff.
Yeah.
They like their options.
I was talking to a friend recently who was sharing how he created a new Tinder profile a few weeks back, and the number of matches he got was abysmally low as opposed to the number of people he swiped right on. He was like, bro, I don't think I'm that ugly or repulsive. Why are these girls not swiping right? It's literally taking a hit on my self-confidence.
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Here's the thing with that though. I feel like you can't, it's hard to go off a a picture versus like when you actually meet somebody in person. Because a lot of the times you see pictures and you think the guy's kind of ugly or you're like, But then when you see them in person and you see the way they're moving and the way they sound, that's what makes them attractive.
Yeah.
So it makes it even harder, I think, for dating apps for men, for sure. It's a lot harder than it is for a girl.
Yeah.
That's just me.
These girls not swiping right, it's literally taking a hit on my self-confidence. And you know, that's when I was like, shit, this must be the case with so many people.
Yeah.
So many folks on these apps must be feeling
It's
this
a
way
game.
and tying their self-worth to these dating apps.
It's a business.
Without even understanding the basic economics of dating apps or how these algos actually work, because it's totally unrelated to your value, by the way.
Yes,
I,
it
for
is.
one, honestly thought that it was universal truth that everybody knew that dating apps only make money if you stay on them. So it's inherently in their business model to keep you swiping and not find you the perfect match, because then you leave the app. Then how do they make money? In fact, you know, just in February, Match.com, which owns all of these dating companies, by
Oh
the
my
way,
God.
was
Damn.
sued for this very issue. The allegations
Oh my
were
God.
that the predatory business model of dating apps like Tinder, Hinge defrauds those looking for love and fearful of missing out with an algorithm that rewards compulsive use of its platforms and makes them pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year for subscription, which is absolutely true. They also said that these companies basically gamify the platforms to transform the users into literal gamblers locked in a search for psychological rewards that the business makes elusive on purpose again. This also absolute truth. So you see, the purpose of most of these companies is to make profits and give returns to their investors, and the algorithms have evolved to do just that.
Here's the secret. You swipe right on someone who's like meh looking, and you will match, and you're done, and you're off the app, and you conquered it. The problem is we're all swiping upwards. You gotta swipe downwards. If you swipe downwards, you'll find someone so quick. It's ridiculous. This is a fact, okay? You'll get off that app in no time.
In fact, there are also a lot of conspiracy theories about Tinder literally crippling the standard free version of the app and making it basically unusable unless you pay for a premium account or add-ons like super likes and boosts. There are also people who are coming up with all sorts of absurd strategies to get matches. Look at this. So the second issue and a new learning about these apps was very interesting to me. So a few years back, there was this guy who wanted to show how algorithms work. So what he did was he designed a game called Monster Match. Now this game was meant to show how algorithms basically reinforce bias by limiting what you can see, and they serve the company more than the users. So these dating apps use something called collaborative filtering, which basically generates recommendations based on the majority opinion, not just your personal preferences. It's actually very similar to the way Netflix or even YouTube recommends what to watch. So let's say you're user A and you swipe right on a zombie and then you swipe left on vampire on Monster Match. The new user who also swipes right on a zombie won't see the vampire in their queue only because the algo is now showing you monsters based on historical data of user A. So this is what's called collaborating filtering. Now it's useful for the app, but think about the damn vampire. What if user 2 would have liked seeing the vampire?
Yeah.
What if user 2 and vampire could have had a future together? Now it's gone, and user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, whose profiles are similar to user 1, will probably never see the vampire. It basically shows us how dating app users get boxed into narrow assumptions and certain profiles are routinely excluded. Now, not just this, there was another very interesting experiment which was conducted by an organization on why men specifically trouble finding matches. So what they did was they ran a simulation with 1,000 virtual profiles to see how these apps distort the real dating market. First, they imagined an ideal world where men and women use these apps equally, each viewing 100 profiles a day and liking 1 in 4. So this gave everybody a 25% chance of getting a like, resulting in 25 likes and 6 matches per day. But real apps, you know, aren't this balanced. There are more men than women on apps like Tinder and Bumble. So what they did was they assumed a ratio of 2:1 and added this to the simulation. Now in this scenario, women received twice as many likes and men got fewer likes and became more desperate, liking more and more profiles to increase their chances. Now according to Bateman's principle of evolutionary psychology, men also tend to be less picky when compared to women in choosing a short-term partner. So due to this and also to just match more, men like profiles nearly 3 times as often as women, according to a New York Times article. So
female privilege.
This data in the simulation, women received 92 likes on average, while men got just 7.
Damn! Oh, that hurts my soul for all the men out there. Like, guys can't even match with a potato. Like, it doesn't matter.
That was real.
Seven. And then tell me how many of them actually lead to conversations that aren't just bots keeping you on the damn app.
Attractive than others, and a small number of users get the majority of these likes. Data from an engineer at Hinge showed that 50% of men's likes go to just 25% of women, while 50% of women's likes go to only 15% of women.
Damn.
Now, when they updated this data in the simulation, giving users an attractiveness score from 0 to 100, the results were striking. Only top 10% of male got all the likes and all the swipes, so the power law is insanely strong on dating apps. Now imagine this. Coupled with collaborative filtering, you'll realize that it is in no way reflective of the offline dating market and in no way reflective of your value, self-esteem or self-worth. It's literally just a game for these businesses to make money and keep you swiping, and it shouldn't be thought of as anything more than that.
Facts.
If it lands you your first date, great, but don't go to these apps with some crazy expectations. In my opinion, I feel like they've been more of a bane than a boon to the society, and I'm not refuting people finding their partners
it used to be
there.
helpful.
Some have, but those are the outliers, not the norm.
It's just
I'm
gotten
just trying
worse.
to evaluate the overall effectiveness of their existence. Honestly, if you look at dating apps in India, I feel like they're taking some other form altogether.
What?
Every single day on Reddit or Twitter, you'll see a post about
There's a lot
how
of
people are
scams.
using these dating apps to extort money. There's a whole dating app mafia, and people have literally lost lakhs to these scams. So an individual today needs to be all the more careful.
Don't
when
give
getting
money
on a
and don't send
Tinder
dick
or a Hinge.
pics. Like, don't send any nudes.
Now, while this is obviously very scary to see, but what's
I
more
got some more
worrying to
scary
me is that these
stories
apps
about
are
this.
inherently changing the very fabric of relationships. Firstly, what they do is they prolong the whole pre-commitment stage. It's literally like you have to go through tens of levels to just make it to a relationship. I'm not even talking about marriage here.
Yep.
A few months back, we done a video on why it's tough for Gen Zs to adapt to the usual workplace norms as opposed to millennials, where he spoke about this concept in sociology called enculturation. What that basically means is that humans learn how to behave in an environment with the help of others who've been around longer. Now, in the case of Gen Zs, the whole dating enculturation happened over digital platforms, Tinder, Hinge, social media because of the pandemic. So that kind of became the norm for them. But I feel like it's these same dating apps that have made relationships super transactional today.
Damn.
People now are increasingly treating
saying this
intimacy
for-
and emotional connection as products that can be consumed rather than bonds to be nurtured.
Yep.
What these dating apps do is they present people as these products to be browsed, compared, and then added to cart. And I feel like this
This is
commodification
true.
of human beings is
It's so
encouraging a
true.
very
This is so
shallow,
dark.
consumerist approach to
I know, how mad is
relationships.
this
What's
making your
basically happening
blood
is people
boil?
are treating potential partners as something disposable,
Yep.
always looking
Facts.
for an upgrade. And the sheer number of potential matches also creates
is sort
a
of what
paradox
LA
of
has
choice.
been like
See,
for a
with
long
so many
time.
options, we become
Yep.
paralyzed, always wondering if there's somebody better just a few swipes away.
Facts.
And this is what's preventing people from fully investing in any one connection. People are literally forgetting that the best established predictors of how a romantic relationship will develop can only be known after the relationship begins, which most of the people are not even reaching at. These apps, honestly, are just making people waste their time. That's all.
Damn.
Facts.
Too real.
Now, I don't mean to say this to scare you, but I want you all to know that post you turn 30, a lot of you might start running out of options.
Oh, no.
So if in your 20s you keep playing these dumb games on dating apps,
Telling you,
could
I was
lose
just
out on
saying
finding
this.
somebody. And it's not because you lack something. It's because in India, as a culture, most families put insane pressure on kids to get married before they turn 30, and most people even give into it. So the pool of people who you could form long-lasting relationships with, you
So you just gotta lie on your
younger,
dating app.
27,
Just say you're
keeps
29.
reducing as you get older. Post 24, 25, long-term relationships are something that all of you need to start thinking about. And if you dig deeper, you'll understand that as people age, as people get older, people
stuck
start
in your own
becoming more
ways.
rigid. So if you look at our brains, they reach a significant level of maturation in the mid-20s, but as individuals progress into 30s, adult synaptic plasticity, or the ability of connections to strengthen or weaken in response to activity, changes. Now, what this shift can do is it can result in the brain becoming more specialized and efficient in certain areas, but potentially less flexible in adapting to new experiences and changes. Basically, the cognitive flexibility reduces, and it could take you a little more extra effort to adjust. I'm not saying that you will not find a partner when you're older. I'm just saying that it's
a lot harder.
much easier to find one when you're younger.
Yep.
And a lot of people now might say that, hey, 20s are for exploring and figuring out what we want to focus on ourselves. Great. Figure out your career, learn some skills, but don't not invest in long-term relationships once you're done so. And when I say invest, I don't mean go make dating app profiles. I mean actually putting in the effort to try and form a long-lasting relationship. This is physically going and meeting people, communicating rather than just texting, actually putting in time, getting to know the other person.
So here's the thing though. Yeah, all right. It's hard for people on dating apps who are all about the dating apps. They don't know how to make a normal, regular connection. And I don't know if you've noticed this when you possibly approach people, or like women in particular. They're like, oh my God, why are you talking to me? Kind of feel, and it's almost like, ew, where that should be something that's embraced.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And they rather you be like, oh, hey, he. And they like to hide behind the devices. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, we've lost that ability to actually have human connection. Have you ever talked to somebody online? Like I've done it, where I was talking with them. They're so damn cool, but it's because I'm putting my own.
You're projecting.
Yes, I'm projecting what I feel and how the tone is coming off. Mm-hmm. So then when you meet them, you're like, wow, you're a dud. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes we get caught up in the idea that we created of this person that's not true to reality. Yeah. And when we meet them in person, you're like, yo, I can't stand this person. They suck. But you're also like, oh, but he. But it's like, no. That's what you created in your own mind. It's not the reality. And then it's the same that's how like arguments start as well. Everybody hides behind this shit. But like what she was saying also about finding somebody younger, that's something I've been talking about a lot lately.
You know, a lot of people have this absurd idea that relationships or love is something that you're just supposed to fall into or stumble upon because that's how the movies show it. But reality is actually very, very different. Long-term relationships are not just this thing that happens to you. It's actually a skill, just like everything else in life. And it's not just about falling in love, right? It's about staying in love.
I completely disagree. I've fallen into every relationship I've been in. Every relationship
but you're a
was I stumbled.
Romantic, I feel like.
I stumbled into every single relationship I've ever had. It was like, oh shit, okay, we're here. This is what we're doing. And it's going for 3 years now. Like every single time. It's always been like that. Now, I have to keep this short because we have a lot more video to cover. But like, just as far as like what she's talking about of meeting people, I haven't properly like hit on someone in a minute. And it's because the last time I did, it was like, you know, what you kind of just described. I'm like, that's not fun. I'll just keep stumbling into people and see what happens.
Relationship as a skill does not take away from the sanctity of relationships, but you need to understand that relationships are not just about the initial chase and the butterflies you feel in your tummy. Facts. It's a decision to stay with that person after these butterflies are gone.
People think that love is the butterflies, but there's a study that shows the relationships that you hop into where you didn't have initial butterflies are the ones that are going to last a lot longer, because a lot of the times the butterflies, like once they're gone, people split. And so it's like this high they're chasing. And so then they're like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't feel butterflies anymore and this and that, but it's not supposed to be what you should be experiencing, because then you're uncomfortable with somebody.
It's not sustainable.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Where you want to find somebody that you're just comfortable with and you don't have that. And then as the relationship grows, you get a little something, something.
Okay. No, Kristen. I'm just messing with you. The answer's still no.
I'm done with you. Hey,
I'm just joking.
You don't even know. I'm going to choke you.
I'm just messing with
People
you.
probably think I'm so violent every time I'm on here when I'm next to you because I'm like...
I feel like it's a luxury to have somebody take care of you, be invested in your growth as much as you are in yours. Now, there's
Facts.
two of you rather than just one. You are never alone in anything you do. Any decision you make, you have another person who can help you, guide you, and there are literally so many proven benefits of a good relationship. For example, mental health. Studies show how people in loving relationships report lower stress and higher happiness. Physical health. Research indicates that married individuals often live longer, healthier lives. Economic stability. 2 incomes and shared resources can provide a financial buffer. And also social networks. Couples often have broader social connections, which again can
You're
be
two
crucial
loners.
for everything from finding jobs to emotional support. But look at us. here we are, breadcrumbing, it seems. And I mean, what does that even mean? And why are we resorting to all this? See, I understand that it's tough because two people make a relationship. So you'll be like, hey, I could be doing my part, but what about the other person? And that is the main reason why I say that this new culture that promotes poor communication skills is harming everybody. It's toxic. You know, relationships help you become better communicators, not just with friends, but at work as well. But here people are promoting not talking, ghosting. It's so stupid, right? You know, people on Twitter, Reddit promoting all of this are probably young and haven't faced any adversities in life.
Facts.
God forbid any of you get any chronic illness. It'll be absolutely horrible going through it all alone. And loneliness in itself has been proven to be extremely bad and dangerous for your health. Having meaningful relationships is a basic human need people avoid.
That's what we were programmed to do.
Only to realize that now they're too scared to form any sort of connection because of fear of rejection. There's an actual phenomenon which was explained by a researcher where he says that when we feel isolated, our brain becomes more sensitive to social stimuli. It's like how you become more sensitive to bitter tastes when starving because those tastes are associated with poisons. So what loneliness does is it heightens your alertness to social danger, making you wary of connecting with people. So because you felt lonely, now you're scared of forming a connection, in turn you don't even try, which I feel like this makes the issue all the more worse. And you know, a lot of people just numb it or deny this feeling of loneliness because it's just easier to sit and scroll on YouTube or Instagram, right, than go out and actually form real connections. It's easy to be fighting in comments on social media, getting dopamine hits from that, but the easy way out is not always the best way out. And I worry because all the problems that you see in the West eventually show up in India because we take a lot of inspiration from the West. And they are right now going through a loneliness epidemic, extremely high divorce rates,
so bad.
relationships. Everybody is just about me, myself, and I, and then suffers once they get older.
That's what I've been saying for a long time.
I've been saying it too.
Our Indian Gen Z to go through this in their lives. So the question becomes, what do we do? Is there a solution? How do we form meaningful relationships? The remedy, as I've said multiple times, it's back to basics, back to offline real-world connections.
Shoddy.com.
You know, I was recently seeing how a lot of cities are coming up with new innovative ways to make people meet. Look at all these mixers, which don't just happen in tier 1 cities anymore, but tier 2 cities as well. Of course, you have to make sure that all of these mixers are safe, especially for women. But it's a great way to meet people because you know that the people who are showing up for these mixers also have the same intent as you. They're also looking to find
some
somebody
weirdos
and
out there.
build meaningful relationships. And not just this, there are so many other ways. There are so many offline communities, there are book clubs, sports, so many options.
That's the route
out there,
you gotta go.
But you need to put in the effort. And honestly, if you're shy and worried that what should you do once you're a part of these communities and once you show up at these events, just have 2 to 3 faces ready and questions ready and approach people with a smile. And I feel like the more often you do this, the better communicator you also become, which is again a very, very useful skill in life. So all you gotta do is take that first step, join some offline community and go meet people face to face. You know, every batch of our video editing cohorts also, no matter what, we make sure that even if 10 or 15 students want to show up, we always do offline meetups because in-person interactions are so important.
That's cool.
People make friends,
really
people
cool.
find business partners, and I don't know, hopefully sometime in the future, maybe somebody might find a life partner.
Maybe we
as
should
well.
start doing
But
that.
Why I'm so hell-bent on offline is because all the magic in relationships happens in person.
Facts.
The least you can do for yourself is at least try. I believe you can only get lucky if you make the attempt to get lucky. So go try in the right direction, that's offline, not online. And once you do find somebody, I urge you to seek authentic connection, real communication. Don't hide behind your screens.
Why does the dude
Spend
always
time
have like
face-to-face
the
and
humpback?
build something meaningful and long-lasting.
Nah, it's just where the head is.
Honestly, my partner was one of the best decisions of my life, and I genuinely, wholeheartedly hope that you all are able to find somebody too. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys learned something new and also unlearned some of the stuff that social media has been telling you.
That was a good video.
Yeah, that was solid.
Really good.
Solid information. One of the things I disagree with her on is, you know, there's this emphasis in the video of finding a partner. And it's like, if you want that, by all means, go for it. And what she's recommending, great advice. But if you are content to be on your own, there are lots of people who live like that and they're perfectly happy and they don't need anyone else. They're self-sufficient. Will they live as long as someone with a partner? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. And we're definitely going to see a lot more people who are going to age by themselves and not with a partner as time goes on. So we'll have like the information, the metrics to determine, you know, all of that. But my point is, like, You don't need to find somebody. If you want that and you desire it, go for it, and go for it in a healthy manner, and don't get subjected to all of this business bullshit that's out there. Anyway, you had some thoughts.
No, I like that you brought that up, letting people know that you don't need to be in a relationship to be happy and all that stuff. I didn't really agree with that part either. But I do know that we were meant to be in relationships, and we are meant to.
Well, that's how we got here.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's we're supposed to have that human touch. Yeah. We're supposed to have that connection, whether it's just a friendship or something more. We were literally made to have that. I really like her message. I really like that she's bringing this to people's attentions, because I do think that a lot of people are lost in today's world with technology. And like she said, like, nobody's communicating in person. Nobody's really, like, the in-person scenes are very different. And a lot of the time, the people that you do meet that you can just talk to and have a good time with, a lot of the time they're a lot older. I will say this. I know you think it's also harder for men to be in relationships, but I think it's also hard for women.
Not to get to relationships, to find matches.
Or to find matches. Okay. Yeah. Well, no, that's different.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, just to be in a solid relationship sometimes.
Yeah, because like once I've made a connection with someone, like, I feel like it's genuine. I feel like the distance between that and a relationship is actually not that far from me. It's just that making that connection, because I'm such a weird person, it's like I will find 10,000 things wrong with somebody, and I have to like not like I have to see enough good in you that I'm like, okay, I can waste my time with you for 4 years. No, because like I remember the last date I went on was 6 months ago or something. I forget, but I went on a date, and this girl, as it turned out, had an OnlyFans account, and that already tells you about her hardwiring, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's your style and that's your living, hey, go make that cheddar. But this, I was like, that's cool. All right, fine. I always was like turned off by the idea.
By keeping an open mind.
Yeah, I was trying to keep an open mind. Thank you. And so I went out with her, and like this woman just would not stop talking the entire time, like, without even, how do you like not stop to take a breath? And then when there was an opening for me to talk, you guys know me. You know me. I can talk a lot.
But you listen really well.
Yeah, when she would stop to take a breath, I was so flustered, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, oh, the sushi.
You're like, that was a lot of information I just took in.
Yeah. And so she's still single as far as I know. But anyway, yeah, so I haven't been as pursuant in those matters. I've been more focused on the business, and all that. But I personally would like to have long-term and family and all that stuff. And I have dealt with some of the hurdles that she's explained. I'm like, I know my fucking value. What is the issue here? And like,
it's because it's behind the thing. Like, it's different. Honestly, so I've actually joined on a dating app.
Oh.
I did. Yeah, because my friend was like, Kristen, why don't you just get back out there? Because I wasn't getting out there after my relationship of 12 years. So I was like, all right, well, I've always thought this was BS, and like, I'm not about it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she's like, just try it. Why not? So I did. I do not like it. I rather find somebody in person, because it's like, okay, you swipe. Okay, if you see somebody you match, then you have this conversation and you just talk. And you're kind of like, all right, so we're going to meet up. And then you meet up, and sometimes it's just so bad and so boring. Or you're just like, oh, okay, so you just want to keep doing this, kind of like what she was saying, like how you saw the steps.
Superficial, yeah.
Yes, everything's very superficial, to the point where it's like we're going off of what we see, not what we hear, not what we're physically seeing, right? It's off of what you see. And there was this one guy that swiped, and I only swiped on him because I wanted to have a conversation about what he wrote in his profile.
Yeah.
And he said, if you don't work out within this minute, you know me, I'm just a little butthead. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, really? Let's see if he swipes. He swiped on me. So I wrote him, and I'm like, do you not feel like your expectation of the woman you're looking for is kind of messed up?
I'm glad you put it out there. I think that's awesome.
And I was like, I mean, you do what you do. I mean, he was so offended. He goes, well, clearly, like, obviously, if a woman's going to swipe on me, she's going to know my expectations of her to always be fit and this and that. I'm like, yeah, but what happens if you fall in love with this woman, she gets pregnant or something, and for some reason that weight doesn't come off or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
And because I know women.
That's not something. Okay. I have a response to that almost immediately. So, firstly, a man does not know what he's going to feel when he's faced with that. A man has
But that's
no
the
idea.
thing. That's why I was just kind of like bringing it to his attention, and then afterwards he's like, "Oh, so you want to go out?" I was like, "No." I just swiped because I just wanted.
You can bamboozle him.
Be a little
like
ahead.
here's the thing. Like a guy will be like, it doesn't matter what the guy says. That's the gamble you take when you fall in love, because you might be the kind of guy who's like, oh yeah, I totally love her still, even if she was like 500 pounds in a big balloon.
And then they don't.
And then they feel different, right? Or they might be the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I'd need her to lose the weight. But that same dude who says, I need her to lose the weight, might be so in love that when she can't shake the weight, he still just sees a beautiful woman. And like...
But you have to be able to be willing to invest that time to even get there, where most people nowadays, it's not like that. There's so many guys, like you'll have like because I had some where I'm like, oh, this is like nice or whatever. And then it gets weird, right, as time goes by, and it's not even that long. And it's like they already have other dates and they already have like other whatever, because it's the option thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's this one guy I became friends with.
Okay.
Every time he's like, "Oh, hey Kristen," and I'm like, "Oh, welcome back from the dead," you know. And I don't hang out or anything. I just give advice now.
Yeah.
But that's weird to me. That's weird how everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I want you today. Oh, but I have so whatever," and it's a situationship. And they'll like, I believe if a man tells me something or shows me something, tells me who he is, what he is, I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, but the guy you're describing comes from that 15%. I think a lot of guys are having a hard time even getting to a point of conversation. Like I try to.
But those are the guys that got to do it in person, because I know for a fact those are the guys. Because I start reading.
Let me ask you something. How many times have you gone to a bar by yourself?
A lot more recently.
Okay. That's not common, okay, that I've seen. What I often see is like a gaggle of women, right? It's like 4 women. And I happen to have some free time. Everybody's busy. Kristen lives far away. So it's not easy for me to go, hey,
Kristen,
come meet me at the bar. So I have to go to the bar by myself. I'm at the bar by myself. I'm comfortable, but I see 4 women and one of them is attractive. What am I supposed to do? No.
You kind of just crack a joke, because I'm the type of girl that, like, even if I'm in a bunch of people, if I see a guy that's cute, I'll listen, and if he says something or whatever, or if I'm looking at him, he does something funny, I'll be like, oh, blah, 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 and I comment on it. They laugh, and I'm like, what's your name? Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, you want to come and join, whatever?
These are not
no,
two-way
because
rules.
I've had some guys that are not the best looking guys, and they've done that. And I've sat there and I'm like, you can come over here. And to me, in my eyes, I'm like, dude, you're so cute. Because... And they're not. If you look at it from first glance, they're not that cute.
Sure.
The moment it's all about your body language. It's all about your personality. That's what makes a man cute.
Sure.
And like very attractive.
I've been really good at picking up on girls at bars who happen to be there with their guy, and I'm like, fuck. Like, it's so frustrating. No, like, they wanted to talk to me, and I'm like, okay. And like, I finagled my way into a conversation, and we're hitting it off, and come to find out, her dude is just like in the bathroom taking a shit or something. I'm like, oh, well, why are you wasting my time? Get out of here. Now it just looks like we're together, and like 3 other women just went that way because of this nonsense.
I get that. Okay. Then again, your radar's wrong. It's still off.
No, my radar is just fine.
You like women who are taken.
My radar is just fine. It's like when I go, well, all I'm trying to say in a roundabout kind of way is when I go to a bar, I look around, most women are either in a big group of women or they're with their dudes.
Yes.
And when I see the women in a big group of women, it's like, maybe LA is just funny, because I've had a situation where I tried to talk to a girl who was only with one other girl, and it went really bad because of her friend, because her friend got in the way. And I'm like, and not in a slightly protective, but a total like punching down kind of way. I don't want to break it down because I've already told that story like 20 times.
I've had friends do that to me.
Yeah.
Then I've sat there, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had friends who have done that when a guy's talking to me and they're like, ew, you're not going to give him. I was like, dude, he was so nice. And I'll sit there and be like, ew, what's your problem? But I normally will tell my friend to like chill.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of go on his side and like help.
Yeah.
Only if she's being like that nasty.
Yeah.
But I have had that happen. That's embarrassing, though.
Yeah, I get why men end up resorting to the apps because the in-person stuff has started to feel more and more intimidating. But I like her advice, just to bring it full circle. I think that her advice is quite sound, and meeting in person is the way. Join clubs, join
the best.
Like exercise
The clubs,
programs
yes,
or whatever.
that's a huge one.
You know, just anything to get yourself out there, and don't worry about what you're going to say. The only word you need to know, is hello. That's it. And then you're good. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm Jabby Kway. This is
Kristen Steffens and Pino.
Peace out.